Hey guys, welcome back to Cruise Blog. It's Allie, and today we're going to be talking about 8 sneaky fees that you should be aware of that will make your cheap cruise more expensive. In addition, we're going to be sharing one sneaky hack employed by cruise lines that will also hike up the price of your cruise. Let's get into it. Though cruise fares encompass a range of expenses, including accommodations, entertainment, onboard activities, dining, and more, they are rarely all-inclusive. What appeared as a cheap fare can easily double or even triple by the time you finish calculating the additional costs, including flights, alcoholic beverages, shore excursions, and more. Those new to cruising might not know about all these add-ons that cruise lines charge for. To stay connected, for instance, you'll have to shell out extra cash for a Wi-Fi package, which could end up costing you upwards of $150 for a week-long cruise. Similarly, mainstream cruise lines don't include alcohol in their base fares, so you will have to be prepared to either purchase each drink individually throughout your cruise and settle your onboard account at the end of the cruise, or you will have to purchase a beverage package. Before jumping on a cheap cruise fare, here are 8 fees as well as one sneaky hack employed by the cruise lines that you should know about that will make your vacation more expensive. Up first is the port fees. Port fees are separate from the base fare and are charged by each port of call to the cruise line to allow ships to dock. In turn, they pass the fee on to their guests. Every passenger, regardless of whether they're staying in a cheap interior room or a lavish 2-story suite, will pay the exact same amount for port fees. Since port fees are tacked onto the overall cost of the cruise during the booking process, they are due in full by the time of final payment. This differs from gratuities, as cruise lines give guests the option to pay them in full before the cruise or have them added to their onboard expense account once they get on the ship. Some regions, namely Alaska, charge more than others, whereas most passengers can expect to pay around $100 to $150 in port fees on week-long cruises to the Caribbean. They're typically closer to $200 or $300 on sailings to Alaska. Another cost is airfare. Unless you live within driving distance of the cruise port, you will have to rely on airfare to reach your embarkation city. Additionally, rather than risk a cancellation or delay causing you to miss the ship's departure, you will have to shell out extra cash for a pre-cruise hotel. As an example, I recently paid $1,100 on airfare and a pre-cruise hotel for a celebrity sailing. If you book a last-minute cruise, the inflated airfare costs could negate any potential savings on the fare. So be sure to consider airfare if you are booking a cheap cruise to see how much that total cost will come to so that you can actually reach your cruise ship. Another consideration is shore excursions. Of course, you're going to have so much fun on board your cruise ship itself, but don't forget about the memories that are waiting to be made ashore. Depending on where you're cruising, you may not have to spend a lot of money to have fun ashore. In many of the Caribbean and Bahamian ports, for example, taxis are readily available to shuttle passengers from the cruise pier to nearby beaches. Other regions, such as Alaska, have more expensive tour costs. Also, I just took a cruise to Africa and I booked a shore excursion for every single port because I didn't feel comfortable doing excursions on my own. I paid upwards of $1,000 to do an excursion in every single port, and it was worth it. Cruise line sponsored excursions tend to be more expensive than the ones you book on your own. To save money on tours, you could consider booking through a third party. You should, however, be aware of the risks before doing so. If you're running late and you miss the all aboard time, the ship is not required to wait for you. Another sneaky fee that you should think about is the cost of a Wi-Fi or drink package. While alcohol isn't a standard comfort, internet connectivity is. Whether at home or on a trip to cities like New York, Miami, Key West, or Las Vegas, you rarely have to go without cell service or Wi-Fi. Cruises, however, don't have free Wi-Fi for passengers to use. Instead, it's an add-on cost, and it's not necessarily cheap. My dad and I recently spent around $300 to stay connected on our Alaska cruise. Moreover, alcohol isn't included either. Those hoping to indulge in fruity cocktails by the pool or glasses of wine at dinner will have to be prepared to pay extra. If you're a heavy drinker or plan to drink more than usual, you might benefit from having a drink package. Again, these packages aren't cheap, with some costing upwards of $60 to $70 per person per day. It's important to debate whether you'd benefit from a package or not. If, for instance, you're on a port-intensive sailing, spending the majority of your days on long excursions, do you really think that you'll be up for 5 to 6 cocktails each day? Another sneaky fee is the cost from specialty restaurants. From indulgent three-course meals in the main dining room to the all-you-can-eat buffets, you certainly will not go hungry on your cruise. There are, however, opportunities to elevate your dining experience. Whether you're in the mood for teppanyaki, prime cuts of steak, or freshly made pasta, you'll find numerous specialty restaurants on board to tantalize your taste buds. Specialty restaurants are considered specialty because they aren't included in the cost of your cruise fare. Instead of eating in a large dining room with hundreds of other guests, specialty venues have a more intimate atmosphere. Plus, the ingredients used are typically of higher quality, ensuring an elevated culinary experience from start to finish. The cost of each restaurant varies. However, it's not uncommon to see restaurants costing upwards of $50 or $60 per person, so definitely take that into consideration. Another fee to consider are the onboard activities. Today's newer vessels feature everything from roller coasters to surfing and skydiving simulators, go-karts, ropes courses, and more. Not all of these activities, however, are included. I was shocked to see that if I wanted to fly in the Ripcord iFly simulator on board one of Royal Caribbean's Quantum class ships, you have to shell out $99 on a sea day for a 2-minute experience. They did have complimentary sessions, but they were only available on port days. Similarly, the Bolt roller coaster on Carnival's Excel class ships costs $15 per ride, and that's for only 2 laps around the course. A family of 4 could easily spend $60 on this single attraction. Though there's plenty of complimentary programming offered, ranging from live music to trivia, original production shows, variety acts, and more, it's important to calculate whether your ship has a lot of extra charge activities and, if so, how many you plan on crossing off your must-do list. Another sneaky fee to consider is the gratuities. During your initial booking process, you'll be asked if you want to prepay your gratuities. If you opt out, your onboard account will automatically be charged when your cruise begins. Gratuities are tips that each passenger pays daily during their cruise. They're split amongst the hardworking crew members on board, including cabin stewards, dining and culinary service staff, and more. The amount varies based on which cruise line you're sailing with, as well as what kind of accommodation you're sailing in, as those in suites have higher rates than guests in a standard cabin. Most mainstream cruise lines charge around $16 to $20 per person per day, while suite guests usually pay no more than $25 per day. Another fee that you'll want to think about is the cost of professional photos. Most cruise ships will have photographers available throughout the sailing to help capture precious memories. Whether you're seeking a family picture on formal night or you want to remember a specific port of call, such as the cruise line's private island, you're able to purchase professional photos before you disembark the ship. With the quality of cameras on mobile phones continuously improving, some travelers may question if those photographs are really a necessity. For the most part, you can enjoy your vacation without queuing up for a picture on a staircase. However, ship photographs have access to unique vantage points and lighting that can be difficult to replicate on a cell phone. Plus, you won't have to constantly worry about getting the perfect shot. In addition, cruise lines bank on passengers booking activities and add-ons before they're sailing, and this is one of those sneaky hacks that we want you to know about. As soon as you book your cruise, you'll gain access to the cruise line's online planning portal, showcasing add-ons like drinks and Wi-Fi packages, shore excursions, and more. During Royal Caribbean Group's 2023 fourth quarter earnings call, the company said that consumer spending on board and pre-cruise purchases continue to exceed prior years, driven by greater participation at higher prices, indicating quality and healthy future demand. With many passengers booking add-ons months in advance, they're typically paid off when the cruise rolls around. It's important to keep in mind how much you've devoted to your cruise vacation rather than boarding the ship and spending additional money on miscellaneous things. Otherwise, you may return home and realize that you went well over your allocated budget. All right, everybody, that's all we have for today. Thank you for tuning into Cruise Blog, and be sure to like and subscribe so that you can be notified every time we have a new video. Until next time, happy cruising.